The government has opened the sale of electoral bonds starting November 6th, ahead of elections scheduled to take place in the month of November across several states. But what are electoral bonds? So these bonds are issued by SBI exclusively and can be purchased by anyone, be it an individual, a company, or even a Hindu undivided family. They came to be implemented for the first time in 2018 and are used to make anonymous donations to political parties, which are registered under Section 29A of the Representation of People Act and have secured at least 1% of the votes polled in the last general elections of the Lok Sabha or the Legislative Assembly. These bonds are issued in multiples of rupees 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs and 1 crore. KYC compliance is mandatory at the time of their purchase. Every party receiving such bonds has to encash them within 15 days of their purchase. But before the introduction of electoral bonds, in the case of a company, there was a cap of donation of 7.5% of its total profits or 10% of its revenue. Recently, the validity of electoral bonds was under consideration by the Supreme Court, and a 5-judge constitution bench commenced the hearing of a batch of petitions that challenged the validity of the electoral bond scheme for being non-transparent by allowing anonymous donations to political parties. The top court deliberated on the issue for 3 days before reserving its verdict in the matter. The petitioners challenged the introduction of the Finance Act of 2017, which made amendments to various legislations, namely the Reserve Bank of India Act, Income Tax Act, Companies Act, Representation of People Act, and Foreign Contributions Regulations Act, to bring into effect the electoral bond scheme. Senior advocate Prashant Bhushan appeared for the petitioner in the case and argued that this whole scheme is non-transparent and leads to corruption and undue favors. The scheme was challenged on the grounds that it does not provide level playing and it is the ruling party which gains the most. Further, they can be used for non-campaigning and for acquiring assets, etc., as also information regarding them cannot be obtained under RTI Act. Regarding donation received either by these bonds or by any other mode, there are provisions of sections 13A and 13B of the Income Tax Act, which makes donations received by political parties exempt from tax. Further, income earned by political parties are also exempt from tax. Election Commission does not have much powers for auditing of donation received and donation applied. Recently, it deregistered 87 registered unrecognized political parties and started action against 2,174 of them for failing to submit required reports. The action, however, was taken only for not making procedural compliance. The Commission also suggested for tax relief, but only to the parties which contest elections. When one looks at the name of these political parties, they would wonder where they existed, as they do not contest elections and are registered only for converting black money to white, due to there being no income tax provisions applicable on them. And if you will hear about the volume of these political donations, you will be shocked. So from 2016 to 2021, 9,188 crore rupees were raised only by way of electoral bonds. Total donations from all modes was 16,437 crores during this period. Interestingly, the annual average of total donations comes around 2,740 crores, which is equal to the revenue of the Reserve Bank of India, which stands at number 80 in India. So you can just imagine how big this market is. But is India the only country where election or political funding is practiced? Well, no. There are many other countries across the globe that allow campaign financing. There are in fact 2 methods in which this is done: through private funds and through public funds. As for private financing, in the US specifically, there is a provision of anonymity of concealing the donor's identity as well. This is called dark money due to it being exempt from disclosure. And under the public financing scheme, this is using the government funding for election campaigns. This kind of scheme is popular across several nations in South America and Europe. Much like the electoral bonds in India, there is also a concept of democracy vouchers in USA, wherein vouchers worth $25 each can be purchased by anyone to fund a political party or a candidate running for municipal offices. These vouchers are funded from property tax and are given on a first-come, first-served basis. You might have heard the name of George Soros, a Hungarian-American billionaire known for funding political campaigns. In fact, he is world number one when it comes to making political donations. Soros donated $170 million in 2022 to Democratic candidates. He is often criticized for interference in internal matters of a country. Recently, he tweeted against elected government of India and said that Adani's troubles would weaken Modi government and open the door for institutional reforms in India. He also expected a democratic revival in India. Though there's dark money or anonymous funding prevalent across the globe, international organizations like the UN Convention on Corruption and the OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, emphasizes on the need for a transparent funding for a level playing field for all wanting to be a part of this democratic functioning. OECD has developed a policy framework in this regard, seeking to regulate the political funding by allowing public funding of parties and candidates, having spending limits and disclosure provisions when private funding is made, and compliance monitoring through an independent authority. Now, what can be done in India to make the political funding more transparent? There is a need to enhance transparency, and for that, electoral bonds should fall within the ambit of the RTI Act. There should not be tax benefits to political parties in the matter of donation received and income earned. The whole scheme of donation should be scrapped and campaign financing should be done by government to the candidates of registered political parties, subject to the upper ceiling of expenditure fixed by the Election Commission of India. So the mammoth of money received and not accounted for does not go to promote corrupt practices of donors or personal benefits of any party. That was my opinion, but what is your view on the issue of electoral bonds? Do let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.